live in a fast-paced world today. New technologies are being made every single day. Could it be that these are affecting us? Is God happy with us? Stay tuned and see what we have to say. Welcome to Energ-Aid. I am your host, Adela Jokoto. For those of you who may be joining us for the first time, this program is for teens just like you. Today we have a very interesting topic. It's called simplicity. But before we begin talking about it, let's listen to a song done by the Prophets entitled Everybody Will Be Happy.
There's a happy land of promise over in that great beyond, where the sons of Ephesus and the glory share, where the saved of Ephesus enter will live on forevermore. Everybody will be happy over there. Everybody will be happy over there.
We will shout and sing His praises.
Everybody will be happy over there. Everybody will be happy over there.
We will shout and sing His praises.
Everybody will be happy over there. There the lonesome of our ages will be singing round and round in that land where no one ever knows a care. And the Christians of our ages will join a triumph song. Everybody will be happy over there. Everybody will be happy over there. We will shout and sing His praise. Everybody will be happy over there. Everybody will be happy over there. We will shout and sing His praise. Everybody will be happy. Everybody will be happy. Everybody will be happy over there.
That was a song done by the Prophets entitled Everybody Will Be Happy. The song talks about how joyful we will be when we get to heaven. I'm in the studio today with a friend of mine. Her name is Fanisi, and today we will be talking about simplicity. Welcome, Fanisi.
Thanks for having me.
Now, simplicity goes hand in hand with materialism. But I think before we talk about both of them, can you please define what simplicity is and what materialism is in your own words?
Okay, materialism, I'd say, like, very simply, it's loving stuff, always wanting to get more all the time. Simplicity, it's a little more hard to explain because it can apply to lots of things. I guess it's just like living life without, having the urge to get what everyone wants, just being satisfied with what you have. That's how I describe simplicity.
Okay, so materialism, let's start with materialism, because I think for us to understand what simplicity is, we need to know what materialism is. So you've already defined what materialism is. You said, it's loving stuff, wanting and wanting and wanting. Now, I think materialism is something that we teens struggle with. Your friends just got that new phone and you want it, or you just saw that new advert on TV and you want that thing, whatever it is they're advertising. Why do you think that, we want and want and want? Why? What's the reason behind?
I guess it's because, there's all this stuff pressuring us to get things. Like, let's say your friends at school. Like, I remember when I got this new smartphone, right? And I took it to school. And then my friend saw it, I need an update now. So it's like this thing that just clicks. You see someone has something better than you and I want it now. Or let's say your friend comes and they look at your tablet or, I don't know, whatever you have, really you call that a tablet or a watch, and then you feel this urge to I need to get something new now because that's what's in fashion and everything. So I think that's part of the problem. The other part is maybe with the advertising and everything, it makes us want to get stuff because it's shiny and it's new and it plays music and everything.
Is materialism only common in teens, or do you think it's for everyone? What do you think?
I think it's for everyone, but particularly teenagers because, you know, lots of stuff out there. We're kind of discovering who we are, and, you know, we're trying to see all this stuff and experience new stuff. And some of the times we kind of mistake that with, you know, purchasing things. Like, maybe if I get this dress, everyone else will like me, and maybe if I get this, like, I'll be popular. So I think that's part of the problem. So I think teens are like main spenders and stuff.
All right, that's very interesting. And so on the same subject of materialism, is there anything wrong with it? Is there anything wrong with wanting and wanting and wanting? What do you think?
I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting stuff. I just think there's a problem with like constantly wanting too much stuff. Like, you've got one thing and then you've had it for 1 week, and then you want something else and you want something else, but then you have the original thing, but you just keep wanting and keep getting, and sometimes your life just becomes like your constant want to get stuff, new stuff, and you completely forget everything else because you're busy shopping and wanting to please people. So it can like get to a very bad level. But I think like just wanting to get something maybe for yourself, like maybe I want to buy a book because I like it, then that's okay.
Okay. And is there anything else you have to say on materialism?
I guess I'd say that, you know, you can't really buy happiness. Like, getting stuff doesn't really make you happy. Buying stuff is cool, right? But buying stuff constantly just to, like, I don't know, maybe show off, or maybe because you think it's going to make you happier, doesn't really make you happy.
So are you trying to say that materialism, you know, people want and want because they want to be happy?
Yeah, some people have this perception that, you know how the world works, that if you're richer, if you have more money, you're going to be like happier because you see these people on TV, they have like cars and private jets and everything, and they look like they're happy, and then you get this perception, and that's what the world has. But really, I think happiness comes from experiences, because that's what you're going to remember in the end.
All right, thank you very much. Now let's talk about simplicity. I had the privilege of going to Malawi Institute of Tourism, MIT, in Blantyre, where I asked students there what they thought about simplicity. And this is what they had to say.
My name is Kenneth Elion Chagunda. I'm 18 years old.
Kenneth, how would you define simplicity in your own words?
I define simplicity as a normal life, a life where you are not worried about the social status that you're in, a life where you are open to people, and a life where you are like open to anyone and you can talk to anyone. That's what I think.
My name is Anne Halawa and I'm 19 years old.
And tell me, what do you know about simplicity?
Simplicity is like living a normal life, which is not too high or too low, but just normal.
I'm Catherine Janaje and I'm 18 years old.
Catherine, how would you describe a simple lifestyle?
A simple lifestyle could be that one which you're not full of frustrations, whereby you're just living normally like anyone else would, without being disturbed by anything else in life.
I'm Salome Gamsogwe and I'm 19 years old.
Okay, Salome, can you please tell me how important you think simplicity is?
Simplicity is important, one, because you're able to make decisions and you're able to achieve your goals.
That was what students at MIT had to say about simplicity. In case you're just joining us now, I am your host, Adela Chokota, here on Hope Channel with your program, Energ-Aid. Like I mentioned earlier, today I'm in the studio with a friend of mine, Fanisi, who's helping us understand more on this topic of simplicity. Welcome back.
Thanks.
So for the viewers who are just joining us for the first time now, can you please define simplicity in your own words again?
I'd say simplicity is being content with what you have, with your life, and not having the urge to, to get stuff, to try to, improve your life, to, maybe please other people, but just being content with what God blessed you with and living with that.
All right. So I can define it in 2 words, just say living simple.
Yeah.
All right. So can you please break it down for us? Simplicity, what does it involve? Who does it involve?
I mean, simplicity, it's a lot of stuff. It can be like simplicity in the way you dress, the way you live, the way you interact with people.
Could you give examples of each of those?
Like, okay, let's say the way you dress. Let's say maybe like you're always, always online looking at all these trends and you're constantly going to the shops and trying to buy this when you have so many clothes already that you've already like used. Like simplicity is just like having your clothes, like being happy with buying clothes like once a month or like, and then just using them instead of having to watch other people and then wanting to get their stuff. You're just satisfied with what you already have. With living, I'd say it's like maybe not wanting to live beyond your means just because the world's telling you so. Like not getting another car just because your neighbor got a new car, or not getting that new flat screen TV because everyone is doing it. It's just being happy with your life, and you see that I have a roof over my head, I have clothes, I have food, and you know what, I'm happy with that.
And why do you think simplicity is so important, if you think it's important?
I think it is important. It's important because it helps you, like, it clears your head, because if you're always worrying about what everyone is doing and trying to catch up and be mainstream and everything, you're gonna just fill your life with even more trouble than it's worth. You're just gonna continuously having to check your status, to see what people are talking. You continuously have to keep shopping, and you get just more worry, more stress and everything. It's just better to live your life, not have to worry about what other people think, and just be happy with what you have. That's why simplicity is important.
Okay. And I see you have a Bible with you. I'm guessing you want to share something with the viewers?
Yeah, okay. It's a verse in 1 Timothy. Wait. It's 1 Timothy 6, verse 7. It says, "We brought nothing into this world, and it is certain that we carry nothing out. And having food and clothing, let us therewith be content." So it's basically sum it up, if you have food, you have clothing, God is with you and everything. And you don't really need to worry about, getting all this wealth that the world influences you to get, because, you brought nothing into the world, you're taking nothing out. So you just have to be okay with your life and be happy with what you have.
Okay. Could you read that verse again? I think I really like the first part. The first part, yeah.
"We brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we carry nothing out. And having food and clothing, let us be therewith content."
Can the first part, "For you brought nothing into the world," and could you explain that part, just the first part of the verse? I love that part.
I guess it's like, when you're born. I remember listening to this sermon one time, I think this pastor from Zimbabwe, and he came, and he's like, no one was born clothed, no one was born, with watches, no one was born with notes, or anything. They were you were born, you didn't have clothes, your parents clothed you, so you can't really say you have money. I remember my dad always tells me, when my siblings and I are fighting over, okay, I'm gonna get this house when, if the parents die, I'm gonna get this house, it's my, and he can remind us that it's my house. If you want houses, you have to build your own. And all this clothing, it's mine. Just to ground us in everything. Yes. So it kind of reminds that wealth is already there. You're just born into it. And when you leave, it's not when you die, it's not you're going to take all this wealth into you. It's going to be left behind and someone else is going to use it. And when you really think about that, it makes you forget about, hoarding up stuff for yourself, because, in the end, it's just going to go to someone else. And I guess that's what it means. You brought nothing into the world. You didn't own anything. And you're going to leave it. All you own is going to be given to someone else. So just be happy with, living life and being happy with what God gave you, family and friends, and having experiences.
Would you go as far to say that if we are being too materialistic, would we lose our focus on God, What would you say to that?
Yeah, I think you can, if it gets really, really bad. Let's say you're obsessed with, always changing furniture around the house, or always looking the part, whenever you go places. You feel everything, maybe you sign up for email notifications that tell you about the latest trends and everything. And you just fill your life with all of this stuff, and you've been reading all these articles, and at the end of the day, and you're like going to bed like, oh, I forgot to pray. And you're like, whatever. And you're like, I'll do it tomorrow. And then you completely shut God out of the picture because you're busy trying to consume yourself in all this stuff. And that's where it gets bad. Like,
yeah. I've been thinking lately, does simplicity give you a purpose in life?
I wouldn't say it gives you a purpose in life, but it helps you like define some of your goals. Like, you have a lot less to worry about if you're living simple. So you know what you're doing. Like, your life isn't wrapped around so many things. Like, you're living simple, right? So it's easier to have like a goal and follow it if you're living simply, because you don't have other stuff to worry about or anything that's drawing your attention away to different places.
Is there anything else you'd like to say for our viewers on simplicity or materialism? Anything you'd like to add, or any stories you have, any examples?
I have an example. I remember going on vacation, and my parents were talking about, maybe you can visit your aunt. She lives in Salima. I'm like, what? She lives there? Like, there's no Wi-Fi, no shopping malls, no nothing. And I went there and I saw her. She was so happy. She didn't have anything to worry about. No like frustrations, like without Wi-Fi, without shopping malls, and she's still happy. And I'm like, that's what kind of simplicity does to you, because it takes away all this stuff that people worry about.
It's like you've removed a weight off your shoulders, yeah.
And you know, she doesn't have to worry about all these other things that people live in the city that they have to worry about. So I guess that's what simplicity does to you. I mean, you don't have to live like somewhere isolated to do that. You just have to maybe not have to care about so much about what the world is wanting you to do, and just live for yourself, like live for God. You know, be happy with what you're blessed with, and not try to, you know, make buying stuff like, or trying to be popular or like mainstream or anything the center of your life.
All right. Okay. So Fanisi, I hope it's fair enough to say that you've learned the principles of simplicity, you know, its importance, and materialism as well. How does you being simple, you know, affect the society or others around you?
I wouldn't say I know like all the principles of simplicity and materialism, because, you know, I'm still part of this world that's wanting me to buy stuff. But, you know, being simple for me, it's just simplified my life, yeah. Because like I'm not into like buying clothes and everything, so I don't really have to worry about what I'm going to wear. It's like I don't care what other people think. I just wear what I want to wear, and I save my dad the money of having to like, then he would have to buy clothes for me like every single time I see something new. And my simple living, I don't know if I'd describe it as simple, but I don't really like bother myself with what's on trend and everything. And it saved me so much trouble, because I see my friends at school, they're like worrying about all these things, like how they look, or the newest phone, or what happened to this and so and so, and it's just saved me so much trouble that I see them with. So it really helps, even, especially if you're a teenager, because you got a lot of stuff going on. Then if you want to bother yourself even more with, you know, all this materialism, then it just makes stuff worse.
So now that you've said that, can you give a scenario of simplicity, maybe how one can live their life, you know, on a day-to-day basis with that principle of simplicity in their lives?
I'm trying to think of an example. I guess maybe, you know, with all this technology that's coming out, maybe you purchase a phone today, and 1 month later the new version comes out. You know, everyone, your best friend got it, your other friend got it, and you know, they're like showing it off to you, but you just have to like shut out all the other stuff. Like, you know, my phone is still a phone. I can still do whatever they're doing on their new phones with my phone. You still, like, basically it's the same thing. So you see that, you know what, theirs is just maybe has these new apps, I probably get them, or if not, it doesn't really matter. I can buy a new phone in 1 or 2 years after this one's worn out. I don't really need to get this new one because I just got this one a month ago. So it's basically like not caring about what other people are doing. Like, of course, there's this part that wants you to care, like, you know, I need to get that now. But when you think about it, you know, it's still the same thing, same purpose. Like, I remember, like, one time we were going on a field trip, and the teacher asked us to call our parents. And this one person, like everyone got out the smartphones to borrow this one person a phone to call his parents, and all of them never worked. And then the teacher brings out this little, you know, these tiny T&M phones.
Yes.
And it still works. And it just like made me think, like, we have all these smartphones and he has a small phone and they do the same thing.
Yeah.
And he's still content with that. And I mean, you just have to think about it that way, like same purpose, but you don't really have to like have all this new stuff as long as you still get the same service and the same satisfaction like from the product.
So Fanisi, you mentioned that, you know, living a simple life has helped you, you know, save your dad's money and whatnot, and you don't go for all these fancy things or these new things that everyone else is going for. So what is it that you really like to do? I mean, how do you spend your
Like spending time, I have a hobby, like I like collecting pictures or photos, and I have a thing for writing. I just love writing. So if I have free time, like I write. You know, it's about thinking about you. What do you love to do? Like you have a talent, like maybe like singing, like you like singing. So you spend your time listening to songs and you're practicing singing and everything. And you know, once you've found that thing, it's easier to like get away from all this stuff, like all the world is telling you, and focus on yourself and living simply because you have this thing, like, you know, maybe talent, hobby, and like I like writing. I can just sit all afternoon and I can write all afternoon, or I can collect pictures or photographs. I take photographs all afternoon, and I think that's what helps. Like, you know, finding stuff that you love to do, like being with friends and being with family, and I think that helps.
Okay. You mentioned writing. This is just a random question. What kind of things do you write?
I write stories. I like writing, like sitting in a place and describing it. Like if someone could go to that place that I'm writing about, they could see just one thing. And I try to look at the tiny details that no one ever sees, so that when they read it, they're like, oh my goodness, I never noticed that. So that's the type of writing I like to do.
Oh, that's very interesting. So thank you very much, Fanisi, for joining us today. You have been an awesome guest.
Thank you for having me.
That was Fanisi explaining to us about simplicity and materialism. I'm pretty sure some of you never even knew that materialism or simplicity was such a big issue. So I'm going to share with you some verses in the Bible that maybe will cement or help you understand this issue better. The first verse comes from Matthew 5, verse 3, and it reads, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." So like we said, materialism is wanting more and more and more and more, but the less we want, the more we will gain in heaven. And like I said, well, we said this in passing, that simplicity, you know, helps us focus on God more. Let me read another verse for you. Matthew 6, verse 21 says, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." And so if you want that new phone all the time, if you want, you know, money, pocket money more and more each time, if you want that new dress, you want the new shoe, whatever it is that you want, if you keep wanting and you keep focusing on these things, and you know, when we want more, we start thinking, you know, deeply about them, and then we start feeling unhappy. And really, we don't really need these things. I mean, like Fanisi mentioned, you know, you already have a phone, so why do you need another one just because your friends have it? I mean, if that is where, if you have your treasure there, you know, your heart will be there also, and you'll lose your focus on God, because then you're always unhappy and then you just don't want to thank Him more. The last verse comes from Matthew 22, verse 37, and it reads, "Love the Lord God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind." So I guess this kind of cements all the other two verses that I read. So basically, if you're not materialistic, if you're living simple, you'll be able to focus on God more. You'll be able to love Him with all your heart and all your mind and all your soul, because that is what God wants us to do. You know, it's very important that we look up to God instead of these earthly things. And like the verse you read, you know, we came with nothing, we'll go with nothing. So even if you have all these things in the world, it's not like you're going to take them to heaven with you. And so, let me give you a thought for the day. Find time to think about what you want your life to be like. The basics keep us happy. Simplicity keeps us happy. The more we want that we don't get just makes us unhappy. Simplicity, like I mentioned, also helps us focus on God. For example, every morning when I wake up, I look at what I have and try to make the best use of it. If I have clothes or things or books, that are not being used, I give them away. It unclogs my wardrobe and makes me happy in the end, because those who are in need are also happy. And that's how God wants us to live our lives. I hope that this program has blessed you. You were with me, your host, Adela Chokoto, here on Hope Channel, Energ-Aid. I was in the studio with Fanisi as well, and I hope that you will take this program with you and these lessons, and that you will apply them to your daily lives. And I hope that by and by, your life will become better and you will become a happier person. Remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you.